Peter, always wonderful to have the opportunity to speak with you. We go way back to the Twilight movies and one
Amazing.
of my all-time favorite series, Nurse Jackie. Oh my God, I could watch that series over and over. Like, you go back and watch something that you've been in.
Yeah, listen, I'm a fan first and foremost, even like because when you're doing anything you're doing, it's an ensemble of lots of people. So it's not like I sit home and watch all my movies and TV shows, but if it's on, yeah, I enjoyed being on them, and I enjoy as a fan like kind of watching
Yeah. Well,
what the
good. You
out.
should. You've been in some good stuff. There's no question about it. Watch this movie last night, and it's is it an understatement to say how current it is? I mean, unbelievable job that you did in this.
Thank you.
I want to go back and ask you. I mean, you co-directed it, you're starring in it, and you're really in the thick of it during this film. What was it that like touched your heart and you went, man, I really got to get this story out there for people to see?
So many things. I mean, when I read the script, obviously it was November. I think we shot it November 2021, so I probably got it in like October 2021, and I thought this is a very poignant story. Even back then, there was a lot of fires happening. It seemed like an issue that just kept happening and wasn't going away. And so, because this movie was inspired by true events, and it was an amalgamation of some of the victims' stories going through these fires, I thought, it's an issue that's going to continue to happen. And what happens is you see it on the news and you have compassion for those people and your heart goes out to them, and they tell the story, but then it seems like people in a week or two go back to their lives, and then nothing gets done, and then all of a sudden another one happens, and so this movie kind of gives you more of an in-depth experience of what it would be like if you were going through it,
Yeah.
through the thick of it. And because of that, I felt like it could be powerful where, after you watch it, you think, I don't want to go through that. I would never want my family to go through. I wouldn't want your family to go through that. And how can we as a community come together as a, human beings to solve this issue? We've solved greater issues. So I know that if we just put our minds to it, we can curtail these fires, figure out ways to, you know, um, save people's homes and save them. One
Yeah.
of them, so in the on the outside of this film, it's kind of felt like a throwback to a family survival film, which I've always enjoyed watching growing up. But on the inside of it, it felt very poignant and had a lot of takeaways. One of the takeaways that was important for us was celebrating firemen and first
Yeah.
responders, and celebrating them and getting it to show how stressful those jobs are, the 911 operators, and how a lot of times with first responders, 911 operators, they're not running into the burning building, or they're not the police officers on that action, but they have such a stressful job. They're
Mhm.
on the other end of that line is another person's life, and they have to go home sometimes not knowing what happened to them, because they have so many calls coming in, and so they're trying to help each other, the next person help the next person, and so just witnessing that, and then having some compassion and honor sent towards the first responders. Um, and then for me, this film really is driven by the core of the family.
Yeah.
My character, when you meet him, is saddled with stress. He's got a new job. He's got a construction company that he's just started. He's got a pregnant wife who's 8 months pregnant, a new baby on the way. He's got
Right.
a kid in college who's he's trying to figure out how to pay for that,
He has a
and a
sick
dad who's
dad.
got a sick dad who's he's been paying the medical bills for, with his wife who works, and she's 8 months pregnant and working.
Yeah.
And so, he's already stretched to the max. And then this event happens where this fire comes through town. And at first he, like many people, he thinks it's not gonna hit us, don't worry. But that in itself is a takeaway. Like that's how fast those fires happen. You
Mm.
think they're gonna be far away, and then the wind shifts and it's at your doorstep. So one of the takeaways there is, when there's when they say evacuate, evacuate. Don't think don't sit back and think it's not going to happen. Like, it's better to be safe than sorry, because one of the
Yeah,
lines in the
exactly.
movie my
Yeah,
character says is his son, he says, you things can be replaced, but people can't, and that's an important thing to remember. But then going back to this character in particular with his stress, then this event happens, and all of those mountainous financial issues feel like anthills compared to just trying to survive the night with your family,
yeah.
and so having that character go through all of that experience, I think at the end of that, he feels like, well, man, I mean, we're gonna be okay because we could get through
Oh,
anything. If we can get through that, get through anything. And I think that's a beautiful message, to leave the audience with, that, your family, if you have each other, you have everything you need, and also, like, the throwback to the survival films has always been, that I've seen, the patriarch is the hero that's, is on the poster hanging off the building, and he's going to get his family out. And in this film, I like that he's the dad and he doesn't have all the answers. He's doing the
mm,
best he can, and each character, my wife played by Fiona Dourif, my son played by Asher Angel, they all have heroic moments, and they all kind of lean on each other and help push each other when the other ones can't keep going.
mm,
And as a dad, he's still trying to keep it together, but it's like, the beauty of watching them grow through this experience and lean on each other is a beautiful message, as well as having faith and believing that you're going to be okay, and keeping things positive, and a spiritual higher power is going to help you, through the night. A lot of times people find God in those moments, but it's like, it'd be nice if we found him on a daily basis, but you believe in God quickly when your life is on the line, and you're like, please help me through this night.
yeah.
So all of those little takeaways are all under this umbrella of this kind of suspenseful kind of family survival film, but there's so many wonderful little takeaways that I responded to when I was making it and when we were shooting it, and now an audience gets to see.
Yeah, you covered so many things I wanted to ask you, but you got through them
Yeah,
beautifully.
you asked one question
So
and I
much
just
for
went
your
off
time
and
today. Always
just
great talking to you.
vomited.
No, but one thing
Sorry.
that did stand out for me, especially with the wildfire. Look, we've had them here in Canada. You guys are having, in California. It just never ends, especially with in the summer with that dry heat. And it is something that is really sadly getting worse and worse in our society with climate change and all that. But one thing, that did stand out for me is the denial, because yes, you don't want to accept the fact that these winds they're never going to come here. I'll be fine. My family's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And in a split second, those embers will start flying into your front
Yeah.
yard. Done. I can't say enough about this film, about how it gets across that, yeah, get off your asses. And if they say evacuate, don't
Yeah.
take chances.
Yeah, and not just that. I mean, there's this movie happens to be about fires, but like, we have hurricanes, we have, storms, and my family's guilty of it too. I remember talking to my mom and dad. There was a hurricane that came through in New York, and I said, "Listen, you guys should evacuate." And they said, "No, we'll be okay." And the house, we want to make sure the house is. I was like, and they should have left. The house got flooded. We lost all of our family photos. That's fine. They were okay,
Yeah,
thankfully, but there's a chance that they might not have been. And some people weren't. Some people
right.
did lose their lives in that hurricane. So, like, when you have a something like this, or a hurricane, or somebody, and they're saying evacuate, better to get your stuff. And people can be, if things can be can be replaced, but people can't. That's an
Yeah.
important line.
Yeah. What ultimately challenged you making this? I mean, look, you are working with fire. You're working with, a cast that you are responsible for, and hopefully nothing went wrong and everything. But there's a lot of planning that goes into a movie
Yeah.
like this.
Well, when I signed on to do it, I signed on just to be the lead actor in the film, and Nick Lyon is the director, and I respect him, and I respected the working collaboratively with him, and I think what was beautiful was I respect him as a filmmaker. He respected me as a filmmaker. We were working together to, like, even make the scenes even better when we were shooting them, and create even more takeaways and put in more themes. And then he got COVID, and our captain was down, and we were too far out at sea to go back to port. So, Nick turned to me and said, "Listen, we can't afford to shut down. I trust you. You've directed before, and I know you can handle it. Will you take over?" And I did. And it was kind of like art imitating life a little bit. Like, my character's kind of thrown into this chaotic environment. And he's just taking it moment to moment, trying to survive it. And like all of a sudden, I'm the head of this film, and I'm in charge of the crew's safety and everybody's, and everybody. And so there, luckily for us, one of the things I'm proud of is we didn't have any practical fire on set because we were shooting in a forest and we didn't want to set anything on fire. So
course.
all the fire you see is a mixture of CGI and also some stock footage. But when I look at it now, I can't tell the difference where the stock footage is and where our CGI is. Joe Lawson, who did the CGI, really pushed the limits to get the best fire that we could get. And it's very realistic because you can feel it when you're watching it.
Yes.
And so the challenges for the actors really were, and I have to give credit to Fiona Dourif and Asher Angel and Lance. You're reacting to things that aren't there. I'm looking up in the sky and I'm reacting to embers that aren't there. I'm running from a burning house and it's not there. But as an actor, you have to put 110% commitment in, because you have to feel that heat on the back of your neck, which just requires a lot of focus, a lot of immense imagination. And so when people are like, "Did you do a lot of preparation for this movie?" I've done a lot of preparation for movies, but this one in particular, it was more about, I know what it's like being a dad. I know what it's like having, a family, and then just using my imagination to feel that, what would it feel like if my family's lives were on the line and we were stuck in
Right.
this fire, and then committing 110%, and having the other actors committing 110% with me, just elevated the stakes and made us feel like, okay. So I had great actors to work off of too. But it takes a lot of, imagination and focus to do that, especially when you're shooting all nights. You can't be tired, when you're
No.
running for life. It's like, there's a chaos there, but luckily that, not luckily the director got sick, but when he got sick and I took over, there was a feeling of like this shift of being in the middle of something, you know what I mean, that we were all kind of working together towards. So yeah, I just kind of used it as we were filming.
Yeah, I'm wondering, you were saying you've been in this business for, just, a few years, my friend. And I'm just wondering if there's a director that really influenced you over the years, that maybe you took some advice from that person that you used for this film.
Yeah, all of them. I mean, honestly, I've been on so many sets, and I've always been fascinated with film and story, and I've written and I've produced and I've acted and I've directed. So like for me, I love stories, and being able to be a part of telling the story, not just as an actor, but as the filmmaker, was kind of a treat in a way, because I got to be able to then go into the editing room and work with Nick to carve out the movie that you see here, we used my composer that I used on my last film, and we brought him in. And the music in this is so important, that score, because
Yeah.
we had one temp score early on that was just all action, and the movie didn't work because it just felt like one note. And so when my composer came in, I said, "Listen, you don't, the last 10 minutes is where the action music comes into play, and if you
Mm.
use it too much, then you got nowhere to go." So I said, "Slow the music down, make it suspenseful, treat it like this fire is like an alien invasion, that's coming in and taking over this territory, and threatening this family, and it's just growing." And then we gave a lot of sound design to the fire, because that became the antagonist of the film. And so it became a character in and of itself. And that music really helps you drive the you know, where you are in the film. And sometimes silence also plays an important part.
Yeah.
I know there was a moment with me and my wife where, you know, we're back at the house and we're waiting, and there's a conversation I have about my dad who got into a car accident. I don't want to give too much away,
Mhm.
but in that scene, you know, it's a very emotional scene, and there was some score behind it, and it just felt like, you know, we don't need it. Take it out. Like the silence became the score for that scene, and then the actors, you know, in that moment of silence was so needed to because you were at a point in the movie where it was about to get chaotic again, you know.
Right.
So to
Yeah.
be able to sit for like, and sometimes people are scared of silence in film, but I find that it's a powerful tool,
Very
and so,
effective. Yeah.
you know, for me, I've worked with so many great directors that I try to learn from all of them. And then I'm a big fan of, like, you know, directors I haven't worked with either, but I watch all of their films, and I'm a big fan of 70s films. So, you know, I love filmmaking, and I hope I get to continue to direct and act. And I wish there was a better title, because when I say, well, what do you do? Actor, director, writer, producer is a little long. I just like to say I'm a storyteller. You know, sometimes
Jack of all
I'll
trades. Jack of all
yeah,
trades.
sometimes I'll tell that story as an actor, and sometimes as a producer, and sometimes a mixture of director, actor. But at the end of the day, wherever I'm best serviced to tell the story is where I'll go. But I love all of it. I love being able to just give that story over to you after we're done, and have you then experience it. And hopefully it was a, I can't say a fun ride, but I hope it was a ride, and I hope that you left off feeling good, because we wanted to leave off with hope, and a message of rebirth, and a
Yes.
message of like contemplation. And so I feel like we succeeded in that.
Yeah, well, you absolutely did. You did a wonderful, really, really great job in front and behind the camera. It was very effective and really, really well done. And just to wrap it up, what's next? I know we've got the strike going on, but anything else in
Yeah.
the can that we need to know about from you, my friend?
Yeah, I've got a big studio movie in the can, but I can't talk about it because we're on strike. But
Yeah,
that'll come out next year. That one I produced, and I also act in that one. And then I have a couple of other films that are in the can, as they say, that are in post-production. Two
okay.
other films that I'm in post-production. Unfortunately, I can't talk about those either.
I
And
know.
so, but this film in particular, you know, we worked hard to get the interim agreement, have the producer sign the interim agreement, because that allowed us to be able to promote it. And you know, the interim agreement is a positive thing. It gives us everything that we're asking for. So having the producers come and stand by us as actors and say, okay, I'll sign this, knowing that they might not get this movie sold to streamers right now while we're in the strike, you know, because if they did, then the streamers would have to abide by everything they're not wanting to sign right now. So
Understood. Yeah.
but right now there's the producers are like, no, we want to stand by you. So I'm happy to stand by them and promote the film. And then theatrically, it's great because theaters right now are still hurting from COVID. So this is a film that you can go support as an audience member, and it's supporting the actors because we have the interim agreement. It's supporting theaters. So let's make this a success for everyone. I would love that, and it's a good story. It's a poignant story to watch,
100%.
and a
Listen,
lot of
thank you so
takeaway.
much for your time today. I really do appreciate it. You did, like I said, great job on this film. And you know, when you
Thank
can, come visit us back in Toronto. We'd love to see you in person.
Yeah, my mom has 13 brothers and sisters, and they all live in Toronto. So
Get out to
I
do
feel like
that.
honorary Canadian.
Wow.
She's the only one that ended up in New York. So hello to all my relatives. You might be one. I have so many.
I might
Like
be.
half
You
of
never know,
Canada is
Peter. You never know.
related to you. Uh so I love you
Well,
guys.
that's
I love
wonderful.
Canada.
Well, I look forward to seeing you again soon. Best of luck with this film. And again,
Thank,
thank you so much for your time today. Really do appreciate it.
thank you. Appreciate your time.
Okay.
Take
Bye. Bye, Peter.